Many of you know this as PEMDAS. It's how to solve an expression, how to evaluate numbers, what order to do it in. And first we got to talk about the history of math and why we came up with this order. So who decided the order of operations? There's really no one person that decided this is how we do it, because math has a long and complicated history. Okay, math used to be written in words. It was discussed orally. Okay, there was no addition symbol and subtraction symbol that was universally accepted. So each culture had its own symbol and its own way of doing something. So the order of operations has been created so that everyone in the world looks at an expression and says, this is the first step, and this is the second step, and this is the third step. So we need to talk about a few things in mathematics that you have learned about, but don't probably often think about. First, division and multiplication are really siblings. Division is a multiplication of a fraction. So if I wanted to say 8 divided by 2, I could have really written it as 8 times 1/2. So division and multiplication are the same thing, and that's why we're going to say they're done at the same step. Multiplication is a quick way to add a bunch of times. So 3 times 5 is really 3 groups of 5. So 5 plus 5 plus 5. So anytime you see multiplication, it's just heavy addition. Even more powerful is exponents, which is repeated multiplication. So 5 to the third is 5 times 5 times 5. So we're going to see exponents and think, okay, it's just a lot of multiplication going on. And the fourth thing is when we talk about parentheses, it's any grouping strategy. So a lot of times we see the parentheses, the curvy ones, and we're used to that. We could also see brackets or square roots or cube roots or any radicals. If we're looking at a fraction that's got a lot of terms in the numerator or denominator, the whole numerator is a group. So you can put a parentheses around that or think of it as a group, and same thing with the denominator. And there's even more ideas that could be grouping and parentheses. So what you learned was PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. You were told to do it in that order because exponents is just a lot of multiplication, and multiplication is just a lot of addition. So the values or the steps up top really are repeated steps of the bottom. Now we talked that multiplication and division are the same thing, so we do them at the same time. We do them from left to right. Multiplication does not take precedence over division. And the same thing is true with addition and subtraction. Addition does not need to come before subtraction. We do whatever it tells us from left to right. So let's look at an example. We want to compute the following. We want to find out the one value that this whole expression is equivalent to. So I look and go to PEMDAS, parentheses. Do I see any grouping? I see this grouping here. So inside the grouping, I start and say, okay, this is an exponent. So 3 squared is 9. Still in the parentheses, I can add the 9 and the 1. And I might have to do this for multiple groups of parentheses if there's multiple groups within the same problem. Once I'm done, okay, I no longer have parentheses. Now I can just think of this as a multiplication. No more exponents. So now I look at multiplication division steps. There's ever two numbers that are right next to each other, I can multiply them and get 8. 8 times 10 is 80. And I like writing out each step. Eventually you can shorten and cut out some steps, but until you're very comfortable, show a lot of steps. Now I have 80 minus 9 divided by 3 times 2. And here's the tricky part. We talked about it, and we got to remember, when you see division and multiplication, we go left to right. So I'm not going to do the multiplication first, I'm going to do the division first. So 9 divided by 3 gets us 3. So I have 80 minus 3 times 2. I have negative 3 times 2, which gets me negative 6. So I have 80 minus 6. And that gets me 74. And that's my final answer. And that is the correct order and the only order that we can do it in, because that has been decided by years of mathematics. So that is how we follow the order of operation to evaluate an expression.